All right, quick recap.
Live.
So we are live. So who wants to kick the live off?
Guys, we're here. I'm here.
We're here.
Stu's here. Kobi is here. We're in the building, guys. We're here. We're here. We're making this thing happen. Hey, welcome to another Good Life episode. See, this is what's great about what we're doing here on the Good Life. For everyone that's tuning in now on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, we've been on Instagram now for the past hour, just chatting, talking, giving our 2 cents, right? Opening up the night. So now you're kind of catching us midstream, huh? As we're starting this live, we're already midstream. Stu was mid-thought. But thank you for everybody that's tuning in, that's watching. We got another great one for you tonight where we're just going to dive into those topics around health, wealth, love, and happiness. And I interrupted Stu to get us here on the live to see us. But Stu, talk to us, man. Like what? Go back to your thought. I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah. So I'm gonna set the stage real quick. Earlier in the pregame, we had talked about potentially going into breaking generational cycles. Yep. And that's what we were really thinking since probably yesterday. But now I think, I don't know, I could have a little debate on what our topic is going to be tonight because we just started talking about how image and you wanting to look the way you want to look rather than conforming, because y'all know that I really, really hate conforming. What is the relationship between wanting to look the way you want to look and just appearance in general to success and to the good life? So I think we can go in two different directions. And the point that I was making was earlier, Kobi, you had mentioned that it seems more challenging. I believe it is more challenging is the way you put it, that to be darker and then to try and choose to have a certain look, maybe grow your hair out, etc. And I think that there are so many examples of that it's impossible to agree with you or to disagree with you. Sorry. But when it comes to, me being, a white male, and I've been in corporate workplaces of a variety of diversities, some very diverse, some not so diverse, even in the ones where it was a lot of people that had the same kind of, complexion and race as I, there was still so much pressure to not look the way you wanted to look. And I was always mind blown by this. It's like, why? Because as Chris was just talking about, just something else to recap from the pregame, like Chris had an awesome story where, you used to wear suits. You decided that you're going to rock the powerhouse white tees and you're going to grow out the beard because you want your reputation to be based on value and content. And you don't want it to be influenced or whatever by your image, with perhaps the exception of your authentic self. You look the way you want to look right now. That's probably the best influence there can be. But I think a lot of times when you're not in a position like Chris, Kobi, or myself, where you work for yourself, you have to adhere to a dress code of some capacity. And is the dress code just a certain piece of clothing that you're supposed to wear, or is the dress code like, here are the hairstyles that are not okay? And I've had to deal with some of the hairstyles that are not okay, but obviously not as powerful as something like how controversial like an afro or dreads or whatever has been in the past. It seems to be shifting a bit, but still there seems to be a bit of a stigma in certain groups. So for me, very, very different, but my thing was I love my facial hair. I'm a hairy Australian. Like it is what it is. I like to rock that shit. And I've always been told that I can't rock that shit if I wanted to be successful in the corporate world. And I had to push those limits, but I had to play the game at first. And then now that I'm on my own, I get to look however I want. I actually cut my own hair and wear whatever clothes I want because I'm going through this process where I'm trying to care less about what people think of my appearance. So I'm just breaking all the rules for a period of time. That's why I'm cutting my own hair and I'm doing whatever I want with it. And yeah, I save $1 too. That helps. But
I love that, first off, just because like I'm right there with you. When you said the word conform at the very beginning of that word, it rubs us the wrong way. For those of us that we don't want to conform with these random rules of society that we don't have to necessarily follow. They're just made up. I hate conforming, and that's why I think we have to like really challenge those things. And just on the last part that you said about just what we wear in clothes, right? Like I I don't buy anything name brand. Like I don't care about anything. If I literally if I could live with just t-shirts, basketball shorts, and hoodies, I absolutely would for the rest of my life. Like I wouldn't care name brand. I would go to. I used to make it a point. These are all funny stories, right? I can have as we talk about image and things like that. There was when me and my wife were living in Southern California, we would go to a restaurant that we were regulars at, and it was like a what they call casual fine dining, right? So it's in your Morton's, Ruth Chris. It was called Houston's, right? It was very much so like just a like casual fine dining, not fine dining, but a little bit casual to it. And I would make it a point sometimes to just go. People dress up like it'd be a big night for some people. They come in right dressed to the T, suit the whole nine, right? Like it's a family gathering for them, so they want it to look nice. I would go in basketball shorts and a hoodie just to make the point of like, listen, I eat here. This is what I do, right? Like, I don't need to dress up in order to show up here. Like, they're gonna let me in because I know the manager and the hostess and the bartender, and I tip them well, and my money is good here. So I'm gonna wear whatever I want, and that's kind of this. Like, that's just what I would do, just because I didn't want to have to conform to like, oh, it's a nicer restaurant, so you gotta dress nice. Yeah, I feel like I make enough money to not do that. And so, there's just all these things about not conforming. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with this non-conformity. I don't think it's being like harsh or just pushing back. It's just there's certain things that like if I don't want to do, I don't feel like I need to do. And I think we should all have the freedom to be able to do such. I think that leads us to a good life. I think that is when you just live life on your terms. I think that's what it means.
Mm.
Hey, you're low. Hey, your microphone is in your hoodie. It's in your headphones. That one.
Oh, for this one.
There we go.
How's that? How's that?
You got to talk into that mic. Yeah.
That's casual.
That works?
Casual. That's perfect.
All right. All right.
Not
Cool.
conforming.
You
Not
know,
conforming.
I'm just demonstrating what's up. I'm demonstrating what's up. I could do this too.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. So y'all are hitting on so many things, man, that I don't even know where to start because I got so many comments to make off of those, man. So listen, I'll start at the top of the head, if you will, with the hair. And we were talking about locks, talking about different rules at different stages, right? As many of y'all may know, I had locks. I cut them, and I was talking about kind of the pressure that was coming at me, right? Both, and it's so funny because there was different pressure in the beginning, different pressure in the ugly phase, different pressure when it was finally matured, different pressure from white folks, different pressure from black folks, different pressure from Asian folks. It was all just different. And what I really learned, man, was that like this is as much internal as it is external. And Chris, you hit on that in our pregame very nicely. And I realized, man, I grew so much, but in the end, I buckled, I folded, and I hate that. All right. And, when I look back now, I'm like, it got to my head, right? It got to my head as, and the thing that disappointed me the most is that a lot of the negative comments or things came from folks that look like me. That's what was so disappointing. It was like this idea of like, let me tell you, I'll tell you this story to demonstrate it real quick. I went over to my grandparents, right? I go to Virginia, I drop over to my grandparents. I don't see them that often. It's not like the most amazing relationship ever, but it's still my grandparents. And I walk through the door, and my granddad sees me, and he goes, "Oh, why'd you do that?" I thought you were going to be the one to be in board meetings and doing this and doing that. And look what you did. Why'd you do that? Bro, I couldn't tell you how much that destroyed me. I couldn't tell you that much destroyed me. I'm like, dude, I haven't seen you in how long? And that's
The
the
first thing.
first comment you make is about how you thought I was going to be something. And now you think I'm not because I locked my hair.
Crazy.
So you think I'm no longer gonna be anybody in life because I locked my hair, bruh? I didn't know what to say. Now God bless my grandmother, because my grandmother was like, "Oh, you look good." I don't know what he's talking about, you know. And I was like, "Grandma, thank you,"
Right.
because I almost cussed him out. I was like, "Grandpa, just because you bald as I don't know what, don't mean." And granted, interesting here. Later, I find out this mofo had and grandpa, if you ever see this, I do love you, but you were wrong for that. This dude had cornrows when he was my age. I was sitting there like, I know you did not have cornrows, and you talking about me locking my hair. And I just thought, wow, it's strong, right? It's strong. It's a lot different when you standing in your money like J. Cole, Lil Uzi Vert, Jay Z, and you in these boardrooms and you looking these Caucasian people who are right around the same level as you, and it's like, yeah, we got about we still messing with a lot of money here, but I'm different, right? It actually makes you more attractive. It
Mm.
actually makes you more. It gives you more sauce somehow, some way. But if you don't have that and you haven't made it, it's this huge negative and it comes with all of these connotations. And then I'll merge into this and I hand it over to whoever has any comments. All of these connotations. Oh, he's dirty. Oh, he smells. Oh, he's lazy. He doesn't care. He probably smokes hella ganja. He this, he's that, he's the third. He don't work hard. He don't like just all of these connotations that come with it. And I think it's really interesting because when my hair finally matured, like, or actually, it was after I cut it. It was interesting the response from folks. Most folks that look like me were, or some folks that look like me, all right, were like, "Oh, good, good. You look clean. You look good. You look nice. Yeah, I like it. I like it. You look nice, right?" Other folks that didn't look like me was like, "Bro, why'd you do that? Your hair looks so dope. It was so amazing." Like people, I kid you not. I can't tell you how many people came up to me, literally like almost like crying from disappointment. They were just like, bro, whoa, they look so good. What were you doing? Why'd you cut it? I'm so mad. I can't look at you no more. I was like, it was really interesting. It was really, it was like a whole life lesson wrapped in just like a little. I could not believe. I was like, first of all, give them their flowers while they still here to smell them. You should have told me that. Okay. Instead of looking at me side or looking at me, however you looked at me and my head going, however it's going, you should have told me, bro, looks nice. I appreciate you for that. Right. Not
They
when
might have been
after I cut it.
intimidated, brother.
Now,
They might have been. They might have been like, "Damn, he's got the balls to have that." Like, how do I even address this topic?
Very true.
They
hey,
wouldn't surprise me, bro. 'Cause they were
they
good
went,
looking as hell.
they found the confidence to say something after I cut it though, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. They found
What
that afterwards.
What is that song where it's like you don't know what you had till you lost it or something?
Mm, I don't know, but that saying right there is pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's
Maybe
interesting?
Dolly Parton. I don't know. Sounds like a Dolly Parton song.
You just
No,
made
that's the
that
9 to
shit
5
up.
song.
You just
Um,
made that up, bro. You had no idea.
So what was interesting is like obviously we're hearing this interaction of you and your granddad secondhand, right? Like we're not there to witness it ourselves. But what
Sure.
was interesting because it plays into that whole game of telephone that always happens and it always starts after the first iteration. But what was interesting is when you repeated back the words that your granddad said to you, I actually did not get the feeling that he still doesn't think you're going to sit in those boardrooms. He just liked the idea of seeing you in those boardrooms, especially when you gave the backstory. He liked the idea of seeing you in those boardrooms, at least the way it came off to me, of seen in those boardrooms rocking that hairstyle, not like dampening your life. I don't know. Maybe I just interpreted it differently, but it was cool because to me, huh?
How'd you interpret it, Chris?
No, I mean, I took it as like he was upset that you had locks
That's what it was.
because it's going to keep you out of those boardrooms and those things.
Yeah.
I
Right?
thought he saw you after you cut your hair.
No.
He saw me when I had it fully mature. Had me when I was raging. Yeah.
Well,
That's I see the confusion there.
That's a pivotal detail. My bad.
No, that's cool. That's cool. But I also kind of I wasn't that surprised from like you two hearing it differently. All right, you have the life. Chris has the life experience of that in the background, right? Not saying you don't in your way, but he's seeing it in this way.
Because I've seen that same exact thing, right? Like again, we're talking about your hair right now. We're talking about that side, but really what that is expectations from the previous generation or few generations about how we should conduct ourselves to get to further than they did. That's really what a lot of this is, right? Our parents, our grandparents, our aunts, uncles, right? They didn't make it to a place in life. They want us to make it to that place, and their idea of what we need to do in order to get to that place, if it doesn't line up, they'll tell us. This was tattoos with my mom. Growing up, my mom was like, you better not get tattoos. You will never get a job. Like just flat out, you won't get a job. And my first 2 tattoos I got when I was like 17 or 18, they're literally on the forearm, my forearm. So like if I wore a short sleeve shirt, they're going to see it. It's just the way it is. Those are my first 2 ever. So that's what we're doing, Ma. That's what we're doing out here. Right. And yeah.
You can't cut those off.
Can't cut those off, right? Like it is what it is. And what's funny enough is one of my jobs in Miami on South Beach, I worked at the Tides Hotel. I'll never forget this. Shout out to the Tides Hotel right on right on South Beach. They were a fine dining type of restaurant, like boutique type of hotel, and they made me wear long sleeves. Actually, they actually did make me wear long sleeves at their hotel because they didn't want my tattoo showing, and anybody that did, they would have to wear like an armband or something like that. But for me, because they were down my forearms, they literally had to make me a long sleeve shirt to work
in Miami.
In Miami, crazy.
Ouch,
craziness. But you know, that goes to our conversation on image. When you don't have the money, when you're not playing, when you're not making the rules, you have to abide by the rules of whoever's paying you, whoever's cutting the check, whoever, right? You want that association. And I wanted to work at this hotel. I could have easily been like, no, I'm not going to work here. I'll go down the street and they'll allow me to be in a t-shirt. But I wanted to be at that hotel. So I sucked it up. Made a ton of money being there too, right? Like it was probably a good thing for me that I stayed there. But just also understanding that my image had to be on point. They didn't want, at that time, they didn't want people with tattoos showing as the face of their business, of their restaurant, of their boutique hotel. I had to play along, you know?
Dude, I love how like fair you're being about that. Like it's totally on character for you. But just, you know, there are a lot of individuals out there that are like,
that's bullshit.
What do you mean?
No, not to you. A lot of individuals out there that would say, I was filling in the blank.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Sorry, I wasn't ready for it. That was like the perfect one. I could have carried on with the alley-oop. But, yeah, it is. It's bullshit. Like, if you're not being fair about the fact that you are in a private establishment, they are able to set certain rules within the confines of, like, morality and law, but they're able to set certain rules about the look they want to have. They're able to choose their paint color. They're able to choose the type of clothing that their employees wear. They're able to choose, unfortunately or fortunately, whether or not their employees will wear masks. And that part gets kind of tricky for me as far as ethical. But anyways, when it comes to the tattoos, there are a lot of individuals that's like, you make me cover my tattoo, that's so fucked up. I'm going to take this somewhere. It's like, dude, you want to work here or not? It's okay if you don't.
That's it.
It's fine. You go find another job.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's another hotel right down the block.
See, I totally agree with that. until it gets uncomfortable, right? Until the lines that are drawn by that private establishments, like, I can't bleach my skin. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't actually change that one.
Right.
Right. I think that's where it gets uncomfortable. Because
Yeah.
I totally agree with both of you.
Mhm.
Right. I totally agree with both of you. You can't grow up in my household and not agree with both of you, because that's what my dad was all about.
Yeah.
100% all about that. Right. And I think it's part of why our family ended up being, my sister, Stu, you have a little bit of background here. Chris, you don't know this, but my sister was the first black student at St. Stephen's. Do you
Oh.
know that?
The preschool?
The preschool.
I went to that preschool. Man,
Yeah,
I
but
didn't
you're
know
not
that.
black.
I'm not. You're right.
Yeah.
No.
My
Wait.
sister was the first black student at St. Stephen's, right? And that part of, I believe till this day, part of why that was the case, right? And mind you, my sister's not that old. My sister's 21. Okay. Part of why that was the case, I believe, is how my dad operated. Right now, some would call it a lot of things, but they felt a level of comfort with him as a result of the way that he carried himself and the way that he moved and the way that he. So and as a result of that, it also um, pushed us as a family, I think, a little, um, put a little gap between us and the rest of our black community, because they felt like we sold out
Mm.
as a family. They felt like we sold them out. And I'm not going to lie to you, the older I get, the more I kind of agree with them.
To what
Right? The
degree?
Really?
older I get,
To what
the more
degree? Like, how did you think you sold them out? Like,
they felt like, I don't know, clarify your question.
well, I mean, just going off of your point where you said, like, that you felt like, or they felt like the other black people in the community, like they felt like you got kind of sold them out, and you said as you got older, like you kind of felt that way too. In what degree? Like, in what manner did you
In
feel?
that, I when I started developing my own ideologies,
Hmm,
I realized that I didn't agree with my dad on a lot of things.
gotcha.
Right? I
With your
didn't
dad
agree
or
with
with
my dad on a lot of things. Go ahead.
oh, spoke specifically, I think what Chris is asking about is specifically with the decision to put your family into the St. Chris, St. Catherine's community as well as the St. Stephen's community. What part of that felt like a selling out of the black
So
community?
that's not what I'm pointing to. What I'm pointing to is
Oh,
the behaviors that led to that community feeling comfortable enough to make my sister the first black student
Wow,
in
gotcha.
that community, and as a result, then me being at St. Christopher's, and then my siblings continuing to be on. And in fact, my family's probably single-handedly responsible for bringing, I'd say, anywhere from like 30 to 40% of the black students that went through St. Stephen's and continued on to St. Catherine's and St. Christopher's.
Wow.
Straight up,
wow.
and and we paid the price for that. And part of the price is what I'm describing as, um our black community, our black folks felt like we behaved a little different or moved a little different. Now I can't put words in their mouth. I don't know exactly they saw, but what I do know is that as I got older, I saw the rift and felt the rift, right? And the cost was that, from me growing up and for my siblings growing up, we were severed from that community. Now, it is what it is, right? It is what, I'm not here like crying or nothing like that. But what I am saying is, as I get older and I realize the importance of community, right? There's the community you choose and the community you're born into. And there is, much as I believe that everybody is equal and everybody should be this and everybody is that. Listen, bro, The older I get, the more you can't. There's something different when you were in a room full of Africans. It's just different. It's just different. When you in a room full of black folks, it's just different. I
Yeah.
mean, it is what it is. The sauce is there. You know what I
The
mean?
salt.
It's different. Like, and I don't care. And any black person that has deviated far enough from that, they can tell themselves whatever they want to tell themselves. But I'm telling you right now what the truth is. It's different. It's your choice what you want to do, right? It's your choice, right? We all make choices. It's our choice. I'm not saying there's anything bad or good. I'm
Mhm.
not saying you're less black. I'm not saying you're less this. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying it is different. And for some folks, that difference doesn't work for them. And for other folks, it works just fine. And for others, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. For me, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Right? Sometimes I miss my community. I wish I had a stronger tie to that community. Why? Because there's just sometimes I just sit there and I want some freaking jollof rice with some Afro beats in the back. And I want to drink a Fanta, all right? And play Chas Kille with my folks. Ain't no way. There ain't no
Yeah.
way white Americans will ever understand that. Period. No matter how much they do that. Right? So it
All
is
right,
what it is.
You know what? I got to chime in on that one. So I have always prided myself on enjoying hopping in and being the only, I don't know, marshmallow in the crowd. Like we're talking Cuban, we're talking
Don't be hard on
Portuguese.
yourself, Stu. You're not that fat.
What do you mean?
I'm playing. We'll keep going. It's a joke. It's a
All right.
joke.
Um. Oh, well, I'm not like as white as Casper or marshmallow. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Marshmallow. I'm like, you're not fat, bro. Come on. Right. It was a
Oh,
joke. Keep going. Keep rolling. Keep rolling. Keep rolling.
but yeah, for me,
I
like
got clean up these jokes and they're not landing. They're not landing.
they're not landing for me. They're not landing. It's cool though. It's cool though. We'll get there.
You're like, what do you mean? Please explain that with
Please
numbers.
elaborate on that last comment. But for me, like I absolutely ever since like my really college, I mean, that was the first time that I got to all of a sudden explore different cultures. I dove right into like salsa club. I dove into like a diversity fraternity. I dove into like everything out there because I was like, man, every one of these cultures is so different. Everybody thinks that their way is the way. Let me just try and see like what is to be learned from all of these different like groups of people. And it is intimidating as hell being that one person when you're younger. I think as I get older, it's like a little bit less intimidating, but you're still kind of the center of attention when you're the one person that looks different from everybody else. But like once people are kind of over that shock value of like, wow, that person just walked in this room and I did not expect that. People just kind of settle down. Everybody gets back in the usual rhythm, and you get to see like what vastly different cultures have that are different. The differences, you're absolutely right. There's so many differences. Now, will I ever be able to feel it at the same level, like feel what it's like to be a member of one of these communities that I did not grow up in or that I did not have the racial profile of? No. Same with religion, same with everything. But man, I just think it's so important for everybody to put themselves in that situation because I
See,
had some friends.
what's really interesting, Stu, if I may, real quick. What's really interesting is because I feel like a lot of yeah. Hey, if I'm not speaking for you and you in this category, you can comment or chime in. I feel like a lot of black folks will watch this and be like, no shit, that is our literal lives,
Hey, real quick,
and we have no choice.
real quick, because there's a good comment from Anthony over on LinkedIn, and it's for Kobi. He wanted the clarification. He's saying, hey, so you're saying your own community distanced themselves because they felt you were separating yourself by your family going to a private school, by you going to a private school. Is that the interpretation? Is he interpreting that right?
That is one interpretation that's not incorrect. However, I would say like anything else, there's more to that than just that one liner. So it would be, I hesitate to sum it up like that. But I'll say for sure that is part of it. All right. And not only that, in a lot of ways, I think the decisions that my father made also separated us from them. So not so that they separate, not 100% that they separate themselves from us as a result of that, but we also by the decisions. Because think about this way, right? I no longer saw my guys at school. I saw them at church sometimes, and then when we switched church, I no longer saw them there. When we switched neighborhoods, no longer saw them there. So then, I mean, by nature, where as a child growing up, where do you see folks?
Yeah.
Right? Those are kind of it. So, whether intentional or not, it did separate from that community, and I can specifically speak to the Ghanaian African community and the non-white communities as well, because what's interesting is as a person of color in that community, private school community, we have very similar stories. Right? We were the one, we were the exception, we were right. We were the one that was safe, that was okay, that was he's not black, that's John. Right? He's not black, that's Taylor. He's not black, that's Ethan. Right? All right. They separate you, they pull you aside, and you're safe. Not your whole community is safe. You're safe. You the individual. Right? So, and the community knows this. The community knows this to be true. So they also feel some sort of way. And I would say, and me as my adult brain now, what I'm saying is, I understand. I got you. I got it. I got why y'all felt that way. I ain't apologizing for shit, because that's how I grew up. I ain't had a lot of those decisions. I didn't make a lot of those decisions. But what I am saying is, I understand. Yeah. I understand. And also what I will ask my community to understand is that there's a cost on this side. There's a huge identity cost on this side that I had to pay. Right. And that's part of the goes back to our original conversation on this is, what's the cost on the way up? What's the cost that Jay-Z and them had to pay? And now in my head, they're like taking that back. They're like, oh, no, we did that. Now we're at a place where we're not going to do that anymore, or we're going to refuse to do that. Interesting piece. I'm kind of switching this a little bit, moving along, as talking about the tattoo piece, is I really appreciate this brother, Derek Grace. All right. Because he said, listen, I'm going all the way. I'm tatting up my whole face because I ain't going back. Right. And I got so much respect for that.
Derek Grace.
Derek Grace. Look him up on Instagram.
Yeah. Drops a lot of gems on just
he said, I'm not going back. Right? You show that to my dad might have a heart attack. Yeah. He might just be like, what? What is this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the message, I like the message.
Yeah, he went all in on
like putting it. He putting out there is that there's more than one way to make it.
That's right.
You don't have to make it with the suits. You don't have to make it by selling your identity. You don't have to make it by this. You don't have. That's not the only way. And also, you don't have to make it by shooting folks and robbing and doing all that stuff. There's actually other ways to do it as well. And I think that's what I really appreciate about him. Because when I first saw him, I was like, this dude crazy. This dude is wild. What is going on? But then as I got to really know him, I respected the brother. I really did. I respected, right? Because he dug in. He doubled down. Yeah. He doubled down on it, and he's winning, big time. And I think I'm in a place in my life now where I'm kind of doing that. And that's why I was kind of like, I'm not actually that mad, because I'm about to regrow this thing. Like y'all, hey, see me in 2 years, man. This thing gonna be crazy. See me in 2 years, it's gonna be crazy. Y'all thought that was wild? You know what I'm saying? I'm the whole thing out. It's gonna be crazy. But I'm gonna be standing on my money being 6'6" though.
That's right. Make it happen. I put it up here, Anthony. We appreciate you even tuning in, man. We appreciate that you're enjoying the perspective. We love giving the perspective, right, of just the things that
love to hear yours as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And
maybe you have a different one.
drop your perspective in there as well. Because again, the reason why we do this show, guys, for those of you that are just tuning in, right? It's the good life, talking health, wealth, love, happiness, all the things that we actually need to do in order to actually cultivate the life that we want to live. And a lot of times it's opposite or different from the lives that many of the people around us are living, or the people that we've taken advice from or information from. And that was the conversation, the topic today, right? We started talking, we were going to talk about passing down some generational cycles, but then we wound up getting into this conversation about image, this conversation about like, what is it that you have to do? Do you have to pay the price? Are there certain things you have to put to the side in order to climb that ladder, get to where you want to be? And we just, we're bouncing off some of these topics. So we'd love to hear from you guys of what you're thinking about and what some of your ideas are. But Stu, jump back in, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But first of all, thank you so much for your comments, Anthony, as they're saying, but also like the different perspective that you're talking about. I think that's one of the reasons why, like the three of us, we really, really love these conversations, because we have such different perspectives. It is fucking fascinating. So that is why we get excited about this. And Anthony, we really mean it, man. Like, we would love to hear your perspective as well. Oh, he actually just posted another comment right here.
What'd he say? I want to know. I
come from a mixed multicultural family. Probably not what people perceive from my profile pic. Okay.
Wait. Sorry. Say that again, bro. I couldn't hear you.
I come from a mixed multicultural family. Probably not what people perceive from my profile pic.
See,
I'm real interested, Anthony, because I would have thought you were just a white guy. That was it, just straight up. So
straight up,
it's all good, man. Thank you for that.
See, that's something I'm real interested in, because that's the direction I'm headed in right now, and it's a lot for me to learn. Right, I might have been done learning to be black in America, right? and now I'm heading in a direction where I gotta know both sides and that stuff. So, but real quick before we keep going here, I always, when we have these discussions, I always, want to be authentic and real, but I've also always distinguished in-house and out-house conversations. And what do I mean by that? I mean, there's some conversations that should be had with members of a particular group or members of the same experience, right? Because there's an understanding there where there won't be misinterpretation or this sort of things happening. All right. I think one of those conversations in terms of in-group is this whole craziness of schools banning locks in Jamaica. All right.
In Jamaica?
Oh, this is, look at that. Look at both of your faces. Look at that. This is real. This is real deal.
For what purpose?
Bro, come on now. It's the same purpose we've been talking about. Right? You ain't gonna get a job. You dirty. You this. You that. You the third. Everything we just talked about, right? In Jamaica, sir. Google this. Look at this up. This is a real thing. And not only is this a real thing as it being banned, but also the stigma that goes with it. See, we think Jamaica and we think Rastafari because we think it's cool. Same way that when I had my hair locked, in group thought like, bro, what are you doing? This is crazy. Out group thought, whoa, that's cool, right? Yeah, it is the same thing. I got a couple buddies, Jamaicans, who grew up in Jamaica, and they speak to this, and they're like, bro, you don't understand. The stigma is strong. Like strong, like to the point where kids that had locks in school were getting bullied. Wow. It's that strong, right? So I always, to me, I look at this stuff, I'm like, man, you don't know what you don't know, because we all out here thinking, that's the Rastafari, man, Jamaican dude, yeah, cool brother, right? We all thinking it's dope, but like for them to live that way, they're literally outcasts. They are not part of like mainstream Jamaica. Yet they carry the entire image of Jamaica. And I just think that's so fascinating. And that's something I took for myself as I begin this new journey with my hair. And I begin this new journey of like establishing myself and really nailing a few things down, is that, whoa, sometimes those that you think, right, are going to be for you ain't going to be for you. And you got to have enough internal fortitude and knowing who you are and what you're trying to do in life to stand with those decisions, right? You got to have enough of that. Because, yeah, it blew my mind too when I figured that out. What do you guys think on this?
I just looked it up. I mean, even a Jamaican court decided that a school was actually legal in banning that. So it's even the government's even involved in saying that that doesn't infringe on rights, etc. Which is I don't know. Because you're right. I mean, that's the image for Jamaica. It makes me think about the image for America. Probably looks a lot more like me with clean cut, no facial hair whatsoever. We've never seen a politician run for presidential office while having facial hair. So like it's just interesting all these different rules that pop up. Now earlier on, let's see, just
Making a joke.
yeah.
You're trying to, Anthony, they were trying to read what you said about just make sure you put sunscreen on your feet. You want to end up like
Black
Bob
Yeah.
Marley. But either way,
Oh, come on, man. I got some stories about that, but that's for another day.
that's for another day.
That's for another day.
That's
Ain't
for another topic.
ain't no way a black man got the no.
Yeah.
Y'all joking.
That's
Mm-mm. If you believe that's what took out Bob Marley, come on now. I got something else for you.
But I'd like to circle back to when you said that there may be a lot of people to where there may be a lot of people in the black community that are watching this that may say, Stu, no shit. It's intimidating to step into a room and be the only person that of that image, whether it be race or whatever. Like I think especially powerful, especially with everything going on in today, or Lord only knows what it was like. I mean, we do know it was like 50, 60 years ago, but like that intimidation is real. But when it comes to what I find interesting, and I think that a lot of communities can resonate with this piece, is I know a lot of people that whether they're in the majority or the minority, like no matter what shade of skin color they are, they still stay in their same culture. They don't necessarily go out and try and explore, because to me, that's been the most powerful thing in my growth. Because as a straight white man, I don't necessarily have a identity of what I'm supposed to fit into, or at least never that I've seen. And so for me, I like to go and hop around and explore, like, what are all the different cultures? Like, how do they do it over here? Like, what are their beliefs? Like, what's okay there? What can I learn from that? And I think, to me, growing up, one of the most inspirational things that I actually saw, not the most, but just the one that came to mind when I was a kid and I didn't know much, was I thought it was so cool that so like a black guy or black girl could wear all these different hairstyles, and it was like holy shit, like mine's just straight, and I'm not allowed to have a beard, and I can't have it long, and I'm sure that sounds ignorant at some level, but I just thought it was always so fascinating because I saw so much individuality with the hairstyles, and just like you get to have this choice about how you want to wear your hair in such a more voluminous way than whatever. So to me, I saw that as like, wow, that's like individuality. That's like balls to like have that look and not conform. So that was to me like,
and kudos to you. But what's funny on the other side is we would get the message for black girls and boys of like, but
careful
make sure your hair is like this, because
which is so
if not, because if not, right? Like
careful.
That was it. Like I have all these types, I have all these stories. But go ahead, Kobi.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, just kudos to you, Stu, in your mindset, and I've definitely witnessed this. I will also say that that's not in the majority, as you pointed out. That's a very minority thing. That's a minority mindset. Shout out to that YouTube channel. Hey, I love it. I love it. Oh, yeah. But and so I want to more so acknowledge you for that, right? But also pointing out that the truth of the matter is that's not most people at all, and most people that look like you don't think like that. The truth, it just is what it is. And most people that are in decisions, that are in positions to make decisions that affect my life, don't think like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what our parents and our communities look at when they give out and say, hey, listen, be careful, young blood. All right. Be careful, young man, young woman. All right. Present yourself like this, young woman, young man, if you want to make it this way. Right. They mean the best. They mean the best, right? But as children, as all children, regardless of what group you associate with, we're out here like, what do you mean? What do you mean I can't touch that stove? It's gonna burn my hand, right? Right.
Mhm.
But the old guys are like, yo, I've done that. This is what happened. Now it may be progressively changing, right? But it's still there, and I think it's an interesting. Well, I think we opened Pandora's box a long time ago, and now we're dealing with it. I don't personally really think it's a solution. There is a solution that is external of us, right? I actually think it starts internal with internal engineering, because what it leads to is a lack of self love, right? That's really what it leads to. No, lack of self confidence, lack of self love, lack of self appreciation, lack of, right. I a whole bunch of folks looking at me and being like, bro, that hair was dope. All I could think about is my grandpa saying, what the hell are you doing? Right? All I could think about was my mother being like, bro, you sure about this? All I right? But the whole group of people looking at me like, damn, I wish I could do that. Right? And that, at the end of the day, that comes down to, what pair of glasses am I putting on
Right.
and looking out and seeing those things? Can I ignore the true cost in society? Hell no, I cannot. It's a reality. It's a truth, and it's interesting. I'll do in my last story for the day. Um, I was in an event. It was a group event with a group that I gotten to know pretty well. I show up. I'm the only black person, and this lady who, had one or two drinks and felt real comfortable, started bringing up some race issues. A white woman, let me point that out. And she was like, you know what? I don't see color. She went on this whole thing. I don't see color. Why do why this happened? Why do, like, there is no racism and all this stuff. I'm sitting there saying, oh, word. So we've been cool this whole time, and you just now gonna tell me you don't see no racism, huh? Santiago, you just not gonna tell me you don't see? No, no, motherfucker, get shot in the streets, get kneed on. You know what I'm saying? I had guns pulled on me. I had police officers pull me aside with some stupid stuff, talking about searching my car, talking about all this types of nonsense when they damn well knew I ain't had nothing on me, right? Oh, it doesn't exist, right? Right? And I was just like, the whole time I was in there, because this whole group is about, it's about like empowerment, and like it it, it was just such a contradiction for me in my world, because she was coming from a good place. Like, I don't know why this is a problem. Like, explain to me why this is a problem. I don't see a problem. I never saw it. I never. I see you. I just see you. I didn't see a problem. Well, guess what? You also haven't had those interactions, right? You also haven't had those things come down. So maybe it's not for you to understand. Maybe you don't need to understand. Maybe you just accept when I tell you that that's the case when you step outside. All right.
Mm.
Maybe if you, white woman, had a black child who experienced something like that, maybe then you'd be like, oh, got it. Is that what it's going to take? Really? That's what it's going to take?
It's
Right.
all
And
about
I
the
just,
range, man. It's tough.
and
It's
it
tough.
was tough for me, man. I mean, listen, I give myself a pat on the back because I handled that like a champ. But I also then look at myself like, bro, you diving into that old skin, that Saint Christopher skin, where you're not shaking things too hard, right? You kind of in the middle, where kind of what to say, kind of like what how to move, right? And that's why the people that look like you looking at you like, bro, you fake as hell. See, there's a cost. There's a cost, right? And I think that's if I'm talking to somebody that looks like me, a young cat that's look like me, this is what I want to tell them. There's a cost. There's a decision that you have to make, but know there's a cost to that, right? Whether you want to be authentic and real, there's a cost to that. Whether
Mm.
you want to you want to blend in, there's a cost to that. right? And it's a decision that we have to make. And when I say that, black folks or whatever other group, non-dominant group you want to point to says no shit, what I'm saying is they're saying you, Stu, in your body get to make that decision without the cost. You get to make that decision of I'm a mingle without the cost. Now you may say bullshit. I have a cost.
Yeah, everybody's got a different consequence to their decisions, but at the end of the day, I was fortunate enough to be in a what we call a first world country from a relative. I mean, we're talking about privilege, a part of privilege here.
I wouldn't
Like,
even necessarily go there. I'm just saying there's a cost. You can
well, yeah,
use the word privilege, right? You can use the
I
word
think I
privilege,
think
but
out of all the times that that word gets thrown around out there, this is a big part of that privilege because I do get to choose that I can go off in a different route and choose to be the odd man out. I don't live it by necessity, you know? Like
right.
I don't have to move in those circles because the the majority of the corporations around me happen to be predominantly with people that talk the same way as me that well, maybe not that, but that look the same way as me, or like I don't have to worry about that as much. So I definitely hear what you're saying without a doubt. I think for me, it it it's impossible to deny that. When it comes to that example of that lady, I think there's something else going on there. She's projecting how so there's two things. Like one, everything you addressed. She is making an assumption that it does not exist when she is potentially unaware of how the fact that she's never experienced that. She's using that lack of experience to justify her belief system. She's
Mm.
also projecting onto, by saying it with such generality, she's projecting onto all other white individuals or whatever individuals that they feel the same way as her. I was very
Mm.
guilty of that growing up. Growing up, I was like, I don't feel that way. Fuck you, that ain't true. But then I started to look around and I was like, well, let me think about this. And y'all know me, like I do like to rely on numbers a lot. So I'm like, what are the numbers like? Like if I look around me, I hear some shady comments from time to time. Who knows what percentage of those individuals actually believe those? Who knows what percentage of those use those as a joke? Who knows what percentage of those actually put somebody down because of a difference in race? Who fucking knows the real percentage of like all of this stuff? But to say it doesn't exist outright, come on. Come on. Like it exists. The real question is how prevalent is it? That's the question. And I'm not asking that question to make it seem like it's not very prevalent. I'm asking that question because I think every one of us in this room would like to have a more accurate understanding of just how prevalent and just how specific we can go with how this affects. But the thing is, we live in such a big country that in different regions and different areas, like different countries, it may be the reverse. I don't think it's quite that intense, but I mean, I think one thing that's always struck me as very interesting is how what component of decisions in the interview process that lead to a company that, for example, may be predominantly white, what decisions are based on some type of either conscious awareness of a difference in the other person's race, subconscious ideas, aka like systematic racism, to get into that, like what subconscious ideas or assumptions am I making? Or is it just like practicality of we I don't know what we have in common. How are we gonna like work together? Who knows? So to me it's always very interesting to like try and get into the specifics of this type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I appreciate how you handle that. And again, minority mindset, bro. I'm telling you, a lot of folks aren't thinking about it that way.
No
And
disagreement.
kudos to that. Kudos to that. Um, I'll say you ask a very interesting question to kind of bring us to a close here. A very interesting question in the like the hiring process and whatnot, right? Because at the end of the day, those that are in decisions, those that are in positions to make decisions that affect all of our lives, right? Is kind of like really what we're looking at, because that's really when we talk about institutionalized anything, that's really what it is, right? You know, when Robert Kraft is looking for somebody to fill his positions in his institution, what's his thought process look like, right? When Jeff Bezos is picking people to be close to him, what's his thought process look like, right? He's far more and he's far more likely to pick some is he far more likely to pick somebody that looks like him than looks like me? Uh, you answer that question for me. I don't, right? And that's the institutionalized part of it, right? It's not that I'm pointing fingers and being like, oh, he's racist, he's this, he's that, and the third. But when you're in a position to make a decision that impacts my life, what are those factors look like, both conscious, unconscious, and subconscious?
Yep.
What do those look like? And that's what kind of brings this whole conversation to full circle, is that like talking about tattoos, talking about hair, talking about skin color, talking about all this stuff, is that people are in the positions that can make decisions that impact the quality of our lives. And we don't know what's going into all of those decisions. There's the surface level, the intermediate level, and the sub level, the super sub level. Listen, there's plenty of decisions. I know for a fact there's plenty of decisions I just made and be like, you know what? I just like that guy. Hire him. I just like that girl. Hire him. Her. Right? And so I think that's really what brings this full circle, is because it does have a massive impact on our quality of our lives.
I think that's great, man. And that's kind of a great place to wrap it up. Uh, it's right here at 9 our time, guys. We just rock and roll for 2 hours, right? An hour on IG live, and then we're back here for another hour, guys. Again, having these conversations around the topics in order to shape ourselves and shape our lives into the lives that we want to live. And a lot of the things that we touched on today, as far as how people view you, right? The things that you have to do in order to make sure you're acceptable in society, right? A lot of this stuff ties directly into why people struggle to get to the good life, right? These societal norms, these things that are constantly up here, like, do I have to dress this way? Do I have to talk this way? Do I have to do this and be that, right? Like, these are all the things that are up here that we have to make sure we get out, have the conversation about, really unlearn some things, relearn some things, so that we can then start to put a lot of these things in place in our life, apply them, so that we're moving towards the direction that we want to move for us, not because of society, not because of what the job said, but because of what we want. And I think we touched on a lot of those things tonight. So I appreciate you fellas having the conversation. Thank you for everyone that joined us. Anthony, you were the star of the night, brother. Thank you for joining us. We had a great convo. We appreciate you for jumping in and having the convo with us. Again, every single Wednesday night from 8 to 9, we're going live here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. But you guys get 2 hours. Instagram, IG gets 2 hours of us starting at 7 and then going to 8 o'clock live. So, man, these conversations are great. Continue to message us. Let us know what resonates with you, because, again, we want to help you continue to move yourself and push yourself to get to live that good life, guys. So until next week.
True. And help ourselves.
And help ourselves at the same time. We were joking about that off air, that this is like therapy for us too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, just being able to have the conversation. So we appreciate it. And we love you guys. For everyone, we'll talk to you guys next week. Signing off on The Good Life. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.